unbox and take a look at not one, but two games that come in the same box. This is Hollandspiele's Ukrainian Crisis and The Little War. Now, the Ukraine Crisis is going back to the 2014, which is, a lot of Ukrainians think is the beginning of the current crisis, or part of the current crisis, or war. And this is the year anniversary of the current conflict that is raging on. So there's two games in this box, and they're both by Brian Train. And it says here on the box, in a shocking turn of events, publisher Hollandspiele and designer Brian Train have conspired to release two of Mr. Train's designs in a single package for one low price. So let's take a look at the back here. We can see both of these games. So you have the Ukrainian Crisis, and The Little War. So, and this is dealing with Hungary in 1939. So take a look there. And let's get inside this box and see what we have. Now, if you're familiar with Hollandspiele, you know that they use Blue Panther as kind of their third-party sourcing. Several companies or small publishers use Blue Panther for that. Catastrophe Games, White Dog Games, I think the Historical Game Company, there might be others out there. But the packaging is going to be similar, and if there's cards, there's going to be similar. There's usually paper maps, and the counters are somewhat unique. They're these real thick, almost appear laser cut type counters at times, and sometimes have a unique smell. Some people like that, some people maybe not so much. So here's the box, typical Blue Panther box here. We get 3 dice, good thick, big green dice. And I'll put a link to my video. I bought this as part of the Hollandspiele holiday sale way back in, way back in 2022. So just getting out of opening it up because I've had a lot of stuff going on. Get some cards here. We'll take a look at those. Here are those counters. Things are tightly packed in here. Let's dump everything out and then take a look at what we have. So we got a couple maps there. Let's look at these counters. So we have just one counter sheet. So I'm not sure how I wonder if the both games use the same counter sheet maybe, or same counters, or some collection of it. You can see these are really thick. Here's the back side of them there. So that's your counters. Put that off over here. And you have one rule book that has both Ukrainian Crisis and The Little War. So Ukrainian Crisis looks like it's 9 pages with designer notes, and The Little War is pages 10 to 14, so 5 pages with designer notes. So maybe The Little War is a little simpler. So we have an introduction here. This is the Ukrainian Crisis. And the counters, talking about the map over here. It's dual column, it's color. It has the case system for reference. Here's setting up the game, sequence of play. There are event cards. These cards right here, which we'll take a look at. We have chit play. So this is a chit draw game, looks like. Operations phase. Final phase, game end. And then you got a playing card variant where you can use a deck of regular playing cards, it looks like. And then you have designer notes. So the game was initially designed in the middle of the crisis itself over a weekend in March 2014, with little indication of its ultimate outcome, though a Russian invasion of Ukraine seemed very likely at the time. Think of it as a result of a one-man game jam or an attempt to conduct journalism in the form of a war game. Interesting. And if you followed the Brian Train, then you're going to, he does a lot of counterinsurgency and has a different perspective on looking at conflicts in both his perspective and also in his games. His games are a reflection of that perspective. He kind of takes a different view of these and usually comes up with some different mechanics as well. Here's the Little War. This is dealing with the spirited border conflict between Slovakia and Hungary in March 1939. So here's some of the counters there. So some of those counters. So maybe just these, looking at this here, the red and yellow might be the Ukrainian and Russian, and then these gray and blue might be the Little War, possibly. And the Little War is only like 5 pages, right? So you get setting up page, sequence of play. It's got card play as well, so I'll have to look in this deck and see if there's some specific cards to that. And then you have, well, no, it looks like it's a standard deck of cards. Take a deck of playing cards, remove the face cards, so the Jack through King. So you need a separate set of cards here for to play this game here. And you got the final phase, game end and victory, and optional rules. So, and then designer notes here. So, yeah, so you're getting 2 games in one. On the back here, you have sequence of play for the Little War, the notations of the different cards based on suit that tells you whether movement or combat. Looks like it's based on that. Your random events chart and your setup chart. So there you have it. So that is the rules for both Ukrainian Crisis and the Little War. Then you have a player aid here, a little bit thicker than regular paper, but not dramatically. You have the sequence of play for the Ukrainian Crisis. And then you also, on the back here, you have your effort chart, critical incident chart, and event cards chart. So again, this uses suits, but this also uses face cards too, looks like here. Interesting. So that's your player aid. Let's look at the cards real quick here. And Blue Panther always comes up with, they just put them in these little slips over them, and they're decent quality cards. They're decent thickness. They're not super thick, but they're good and solid. So there's the cards. So what do we have here? So I'm not sure what these all do here. Ooh. So I guess these might be events, maybe? Not sure. The ISIS crisis. So there you have it. There's the cards that go here. And then it looks like you might need to add your own deck of cards, regular playing cards, for reference as well. Here is the map board for the Ukrainian Crisis. And it's decent. I mean, it's thick, but definitely not mounted. Let's pull over here a little bit and get a full view of this. You've got some game tracks over here. You have some holding boxes, or like reserve, mobilized. And then you have Ukraine. So that's interesting to see. This was made in 2014 as part of the Crimea crisis at that time, and I think it presupposes or assumes maybe that there's going to be a full-on invasion. So it'll be interesting to see how this matches up to what happened in 2022, kind of a look back of sorts on that. That's still going on. Then you have these neutral, support, and intervention. So you probably put some counters here for looking maybe political support that's going on. Brian Train always has a certain sense of politics and worldview on some of on the conflict itself. Then you have, so this might be the Ukrainian side, and this is the Russian side here, 4 boxes. Anyway, so that is the Ukrainian Crisis map, and then you have a map for the little war. And I'm not as familiar with this historical conflict here, but so that's why I buy and play games, is so I can learn a little bit more about it. This is the Slovak-Hungarian border conflict of March 1939. So there we go. And so you get some damaged units, ready units airfield for Slovakia, and then the same for Hungary. And then you have this area here for that portion of for the conflict, the border. So there you have it. That's your maps that you get in there. You get player aid for Ukrainian Crisis. The player aid for the Little War is on the back page of the rules. You get a counter sheet, which I believe these are for the Ukrainian Crisis, and these down here are for the Little War. Then you get some cards that go with the Ukrainian Crisis. It looks like you have to supply a standard deck of cards for both games, taking out some face cards, I think, for the Little War. You get dice, and you get a box and a lid. So that is what you get in a box of Ukrainian Crisis and the Little War from Hollandspiele, both designed by Brian Train. Love to know what you think about either one of these games, if you've played them, if what you think about it, and if you've done any comparison to the current war that's going on and what this was trying to model back in 2014 during the Crimea episode. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by. One way that I know you stopped by is drop a comment. Love to know what you think about any of this stuff, or Hollandspiele in general. Started off the week with a thank you video for them on their customer service. So anyway, love to know any of your thoughts on that. And but most importantly, thanks for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.